All right. Welcome, guys, again to my YouTube channel. What is a JAD session today? That's what we're going to be talking about. What is a JAD session? All right. JAD. That means Joint Application Development or Design. It's a type of meeting. What's this meeting used for? The purpose of the JAD session is to bring together stakeholders with different points of views to understand a business requirement or problem and what the best approach towards solving that problem is going to be. So typically in a team, when you have contrary opinions to how a problem is particularly going to be solved, you conduct a JAD session as a business analyst to be able to facilitate the team, to be able to collaborate and make sure everybody aligns their views to be able to solve this problem. Okay, that's why you have a JAD session. It's held when time is of the essence. Typically, business analyst is one who interacts and who facilitates this entire session where people have different contrary opinions concerning how a particular problem should be solved or how a particular requirement is supposed to be carried out, right? And you make sure you facilitate that meeting as a business analyst to be able to ensure that people have a common agreement towards how this problem is going to be solved. Okay, so towards the JAD session, you should always have a rule. Okay, and this is essentially your rules. You should have a checklist of rules that you're supposed to go through while you're conducting a JAD session. The first thing is you gain consensus. At the beginning of your meeting, you want to understand and make sure the team understand that there is supposed to be an agreement at the end of the session. You're not disagreeing to disagree, you're disagreeing to agree on one particular approach. Okay. Another thing you want to ensure is there's an agreement on the time limits for disagreement. All right. So it's maybe say for example, each disagreement is supposed to take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. You determine that ahead of time. Just so when people are arguing, they don't argue for an hour and waste the entire time for that you're supposed to use to conduct the session. Okay. Another thing is you establish the executive sponsor as the tiebreaker. A situation whereby nobody is agreeing or nobody is willing to drop their cards or lay their cards down, there has to be a tiebreaker. So you need to establish it as the project sponsor who can be your product manager or your VP of product or your VP or your director of product could be the could be the tiebreaker at this point in time. So you have to lay that rule down and everybody needs to understand that the moment this project sponsor breaks the tie, everybody needs to move on from it. Okay. Another thing is you have to require mandatory attendance. Everybody has to be in attendance. I cannot emphasize this enough. A situation whereby you guys are the team, the product team is trying to determine the particular approach towards a particular solution. Please make sure everybody's in attendance just so when you decide concerning what the approach towards solving that solution is going to be, someone else doesn't come and say, "Oh, I wasn't in the meeting or I wasn't there," and you have to go over the entire meeting again. So just make sure attendance is compulsory and everybody's mandated to be there. Another thing is stress that all participants are equal regardless of their job role. Say, for example, from the intern up onto the vice president level, make sure that you are running an idea meritocracy in such a way that all ideas are welcomed. You shouldn't rank the idea based on who is the most senior, who is, or let's rank it on who is the most junior. No, everybody's on the same level at that point in time. And you want to be able to make sure that everybody's ideas is being heard. Okay. Have clear cut agenda, like we spoke about, and allow one conversation to occur at a time. Allow one conversation at a time. That's another one, and that's very, very golden, guys. Again, this session is supposed to be a disagreement session, and a lot of people are wanting to speak over each other. So you must always make sure that you allow one conversation at a time, just so ideas can be responded to, and not people responding to each other. People should be able to respond to the ideas, not responding to conversations of each other, right? Okay, and that's essentially the participation rules you need to establish during your JAD session. Okay, so we're going to be moving on to the tips for a successful JAD session. Okay, you need to make sure that the facilitator, you as the facilitator, you need to be trained effectively concerning how to be able to handle people because people are very complex and people are going to want to have discussions and arguments. So you need to be very, very trained to understand people's emotions, to understand people's psychology, to understand people's perspective, right? So, as the facilitator of the meeting, you need to be trained. Okay, you need to conduct orientation for all participants. Not a lot of people understand the meaning of JAD session. Some stakeholders, users, clients might not understand the meaning of a JAD session. So you need to make sure that there is an orientation program to be able to make them understand what you're trying to achieve at the end of this session. Another one is you make sure user representatives are properly trained. The people representing each department, say for example, you're having a meeting with the accounting team, marketing team, sales team. You need to make sure people representing those departments are properly trained and they are aware of what they are doing. And then you need to send out the agenda before time, which is another thing you need to do. Send out the agenda before time, and just so everybody can get acquainted with everything that they need to do and everything they need to know before the session. All right. Another thing is you need to document the assumptions. And document assumptions. Document the issues, document the ideas, and document the assumption. Another thing is you need to hold sessions only when decision makers are present. Again, I cannot overemphasize this enough. Please make sure that your power brokers must be present in the room when this JAD session is taking place. Your subject matter expert, it could be your stakeholders, it could be this, it could be that. Just make sure your power brokers, people that have the final say on the project, and people that have a decision making power on the project are present while you are conducting this JAD session. Okay. Right. You need to send out the meeting minutes after the JAD session. Is something that you must always do as a business analyst. You should be able to send out the meeting minutes as a business analyst as quickly as possible, just so people can see the outcome of the meeting that you just had, right? And lastly, you need to assign responsibilities and resolve all issues. Okay. Again, assign these responsibilities to the department, to the people involved, and make sure that all the issues are resolved during the jazz session. And guys, that's how you have a successful jazz session. I hope this helps. See you on the next.